Enoy Extreme Media UJ. Subscribe for all updates.
Yeah, I stand before you, ladies and gentlemen, not as a leader, but as a woman who has experienced the fragile intersection between power, justice, and vulnerability. My name is Jacqueline Jole Tukamushaba, a daughter of Ruchiga, a mother, a leader, but above all, a believer in the promise that justice must belong to everyone, not only the powerful, not only the wealthy, but also the unheard, the marginalized, and also the forgotten women and girls across the country. I would like to appreciate my president, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. I appreciate the National Unity Platform for giving me an opportunity to talk to the land friends. I am humbled. Above all, I want to appreciate the daughters of Mary sisters from Rwanda who saw me when I had come to Masaka to work as a maid, and they gave me an opportunity to go to school. I am here because the church touched me. And that's the reason as to why, even when I'm detained, even when I'm beaten, I gave a vow to God that when I stand somewhere, I will fight for the less privileged, and here I am. Whoever is to beat me, whoever is to detain me, until you get tired, I am here to fulfill a vow that I made to my Creator, who saw me from the villages of Kamwezi and gave me an opportunity to speak to the multitudes. Today we discuss advancing women empowerment and promoting gender equality and access to justice. These are not merely academic ideas. For many women in Uganda, these words represent survival. Across the communities, women continue to face barriers that limit their participation in leadership, economic independence, and access to justice. Many women who report violence face stigma. Many girls drop out of school because of poverty or early marriage. Many women fear speaking out because systems meant to protect them sometimes fail them. Yet, despite these challenges, Ugandan women continue to strive to rise. They rise as farmers feeding the nation. They rise as entrepreneurs supporting families. They still rise as lawyers, judges, activists, and political leaders shaping our democracy. The lawyers, the advocates, the activists, we look up to you for support. Even if you don't want to do it for humanity, do it for God. Be in your room and think about that woman that you're going to detain, and at the back of your mind, you clearly know she is innocent. Those that have known me know me as a peace-loving person. And rarely, if at all any, do I incite violence. I was so hurt that among all the charges, that was the one that could be slapped in my face. Wow, Jackie, inciting violence? And my village mates who know me better, none of them could believe. Briefly, I'll share that I was contesting for the woman member of parliament for Ruchiga. And most of my supporters were actually subscribing to NRM. The message that I was preaching was really as peaceful as it can be. To them, briefly to chip in, I told them, if you have been married to a man for 40 years and he has never bought you a bouquet of flowers, my sister, forget. So I told them, whatever we haven't received in Uganda for the 40 years, we may not get. So I was actually telling them, let's break this marriage and get married to NUP, plainly. And people actually accepted my message. Yeah, I believe the masses that supported me probably scared some section of people, and they had to hide me a day before elections. And in my heart, I kept saying, so if they rob my victory, where do I run to? Thank God I'm before you today. And I'm telling you, I was denied to participate in the elections, and I need justice from you, the land friends. Thank God I'm here to speak to you. Well, women are not simply beneficiaries of justice. They are builders of justice. However, to achieve empowerment, it requires deliberate action. And these are the thoughts that I have. First, we must strengthen access to justice for women. Justice must not depend on wealth, influence, or geography. A woman in my rural village in Chigara B, Kamwez sub-county, should be able to access legal protection just as easily as someone in Kampala. Legal aid services must be strengthened, and justice institutions must remain as independent as they can be. They should be fair and accessible to all. Friends, there are people in my village who have never even known that legal aid exists. And justice institutions must remain as independent as they can be. They should be fair and accessible to all. Friends, there are people in my village who have never even known that legal aid exists. So let's try and reach out to those that are vulnerable and they lack information. We need your support, but the information is not reaching unto us. It's absurd that, when these other social medias are probably addressing the nation, they use TVs. I have people in the Ruchiga who have no access to that TV. They do not know how to read, and probably something must be done for that category of people to bring them on board. Yes, the legal aid services are there, but they are accessed by those who have information about them. Let's make a step and move towards those that have not heard even about it. Secondly, we must protect women who choose to lead. Well, though leadership is a calling, in most cases, women who step into public are often intimidated. There is some character attack. And in most cases, our male counterparts rarely do they face the same. So if we truly believe in gender equality, we must create an environment where women can lead without fear. So it must be purposeful that we reach out to women and encourage them to lead. And when they offer themselves for leadership, then don't treat them the way we are treated. Third, we must empower women economically. A member here said, when people contest, they take loans. That speaks much about the monetization of the politics in this country. It's not about the money that leads. It's about the ideas that you're presenting. So, economic empowerment is connected to justice. When a woman has financial independence, she's more able to resist abuse, she's able to defend her rights, and she's able to invest in her children's future. I salute Mama, who was economically empowered, and she was able to invest in the girl child, from whose fruits we are beneficiaries. Thank you, Mama. So let us all, with the little resources that we have, let us deliberately try to empower financially women. If you're buying those yellows from a roadside seller, don't over-bargain. Just give that woman money. She needs it for fees for her children. So let's be deliberate to support those women. They go through a lot. First, we must protect the rights and dignity of the girl child. The girl who sits in a classroom today is the judge, the advocate, the legislator, and the leader of tomorrow. If we fail to protect her rights today, we compromise the future of our nation. So, as we plan to protect this girl, we can, once in a while, give sanitary pads so that this girl stays in school. There are those who do not go to school simply because that period of the month has come. As mothers, as women, let's be at the forefront to protect the rights and dignity of this girl child. Ladies and gentlemen, my own experiences in public life have reminded me that the rule of law is not something we can take for granted. Justice must be protected every day. When I left, we brand it the basement. When I left the safe house, I traveled with this armed person who was calling someone. And when we reached, his explanation was, I'm the one who has been calling you, and this is the person we are bringing to you. I looked at the gentleman. Obviously, I think he had to honor the orders from above. But deep down as we talked, so he's like, so where have you been? I'm like, I don't know. But you know, surprisingly, he also accepted, and he was going to take me to the magistrate. They made phone calls. You know me, I was taken as a VVIP. They had Tarehe Sita in Kavale, and I think I was one of the escorts, because that's the very day that I landed in Kavale CPS. So they called the magistrate. And unfortunately, they had blocked the roads because Museveni was passing with his convoy. So I think the response they were giving to this gentleman is that, hey, we have to wait because the roads are blocked, so you can't access court. I reached court direct from the basement. And you know, I looked at this gentleman. I was alone in that court, and he asked me boldly whether I had sureties. Now, where would I have gotten surety? I didn't have my phone. I had disappeared. And you know, I looked at him, and God forgive me, I think I was very judgmental. I wondered, do you people serve God? You know God. You know that he exists. Are we at one time think that there is eternity to inherit? Do we believe there is heaven? Ooh, well, I didn't have sureties anyway, and I was remanded to Ndorwa prison. I had a chance to look at those sheets. You know me, I'm very late, so now that I'm interacting with the land friends. Hey, and I was eager. I thought that if I peep, I would have been able probably to see the name of the complainant. Hey, and boom, I saw Uganda versus Tukamushava. I said, hey, I didn't know that I'm too big, that Uganda can be at tentacles just because I'm campaigning. Well, anyway, up to today, I haven't known who the complainant is, but at least I know my community knows me as a peace-loving person. So, well, that was it. But, you know, the magistrate remanded me. Then, finally, they kept reading their things. And I think in my heart, I got annoyed with the state. It's called the state attorney. You know, we shorten it in Ruchiga and say state. So me, I heard them saying state. And you know, the state was giving now info that I shouldn't be given bail because I was going, I think, to interfere with the process. To me, I said, Jackie, why do people choose to treat you unfairly? Now, which evidence was I going to interfere with seriously? In the whole Uganda, in Ruchiga, in Kigezi? Well, I didn't get it. But anyway, the legal fraternity represented here today, it carries a profound responsibility. I would appeal to you. I don't know much about your profession, but that lawyers should not only be interpreters of the law, let them be guardians of justice.
Abalungi abatuuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tuchaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo sanyusa okubalaba amannya agange Yezeseeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde tumusomereddwa, tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba, tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulombeddwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombereddwa, ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amanya ge ngaali wala. Neetaase ennamba yange yeeno eri 0707763711. Nammwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku ddwa ng'olina ebizibu, viza zibuze, amaka gakolongotana, ssente zikola zimpita mu ngalo, ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go, ebyo byokka bijja kummala, nja kukulombera edduwa, ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa ey'awamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.